welcome to a bit of a first for me, because I don't normally do news and upcoming game segments, as there are other people out there that do a good job on a regular basis. People like Polish Paul VR, who's a funny guy, and you can find a link to his channel in my featured channels from my main page. But this past week there was a little event on called E3, and there was a surprising amount of PlayStation VR games that were announced at E3. So I kind of think I need to take stock of what's on the horizon. As it currently stands, I have a backlog of PSVR games that I still have to complete. And with a trip to Japan planned out for January, I kind of need to consider what games I've just got passing interest in, what games I want to keep more of an eye on just in case they do go away where I think I might want to buy them, and then there's the games I really want to buy. But just before we go into that, a little bit of an announcement about Farpoint, which is getting some free DLC on June 27th. Which all seems to be ice themed, and I believe there's a new co-op mission, and I'm not sure what else, but if you've got Farpoint, you'll be getting that on June 27th. So yay, we all like free stuff. Great, moving on. Okay, let's start off with the definite buy list, and as it's kind of got a bit warmer here in the UK at the moment, my first choice is rather appropriate, because it's, well, Superhot VR. If you haven't seen anything of I'll rewind that again. Okay, if you haven't seen anything of Superhot VR, it's a stylish sort of FPS bullet time goodness that will have you feeling like a death-dealing ballet dancer. But seriously, you get to do the whole living live in the Matrix while dealing out death in something that looks like a dance. So just yes to Superhot VR. It's just right up there with something, you know, something that I want to experience. So that's a must buy. The next one is Moss. Now this is a platformer, and I know that many people will be saying, a platformer in VR? Why? What's the point? And why is it my second must-buy game? Well, anyone who's played Playroom VR and has played Robot Rescue, you can probably answer that question, and it's because it's insanely good. Platforming in VR actually can work if it's done well. And Moss looks like it's going to use the VR to its advantage to build a meaningful relationship between you and the main character. It's less about controlling the character per se, as more collaborating with the environment and the character and building that sort of relationship, the reaction and things like that. And that's what really stands out. And that's how, you know, a platformer can be transformed into something a lot more involved. So yeah, I'm super excited for it. And if you listen to the buzz around this game, it's kind of plain to see that everybody else thinks that Moss is one of the standout VR games of E3. So yeah, must get it. Next one up, Skyrim VR. Full open world game, including all of its add-ons, which was Dawnguard, Hearthfire, and Dragonborn. I haven't played Skyrim VR. I'll rewind that. I haven't played Skyrim at all, so I'd be getting the entire thing in VR in one go. So that's got to be worth it as a look. The next one, I'm starting to get a little bit more into the... I'm interested, but I want to see where it goes. Next one is actually from CCP, which of course I do a lot of eValkyrie videos and such. So I'm interested in them as a company, but Spark is a departure for them from what they have done in the past, because it's not based in the EVE universe. It's actually a e-sport, physical sport. It's very much like, if you're familiar with Tron, the disc combat type of thing in Tron. So I'm kind of interested in that, but I have a limited amount of space. There is a beta sign-up sheet on the playspark.com website, so register for that. Maybe you get a beta. I'm hoping that I do, and then I can discover if I actually have enough space to play the game. And if I do, then I'll probably get it, because I think CCP do some good work, but it would be interesting to see that one. The next one up is Bloody Zombies from Endreams, which is, for VR, rather different. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up in 2D style in VR. And I'm guessing a lot of people go, really? Why? Well, there's a very good thing to this in that it's not just for VR players, it's for non-VR as well. So it's got a co-op thing, a couch play co-op, an online multiplayer co-op, and not just for VR players, but for flat screen players as well. And one of the things that is an issue with VR games and PlayStation games is there are 1 million units out there, but there are about 65 or 70 million, I think it's 60, about 60 million PlayStation 4s out there. So it's like not that high a percentage of people that actually still have VR headsets. It's still a good number. Don't get me wrong, it's a really high number. But being able to play with all of the people that don't have VR headsets, I think is a very good selling point for this game. And depending on the price point that comes in at, I'm interested to play it because I think it could be a good, fun game. Plus, it kind of harks back to some older 2D scrolling, so it should be fun. The next one up is Arizona Sunshine, so another zombies title. Zombies are still really popular, and this game had a really good reputation on the Rift and the Vive, or more on the Vive and now on the Rift. And it's coming to PlayStation VR on June 27th with support for the aim controller, I believe. So that's something to look into. I liked the FPS from Farpoint and things like that, so I may go into that. Moving on from there, we have Bravo Team from Supermassive Games. Supermassive Games, of course, produced Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. But we're going to talk about Bravo Team. Bravo Team, it's a military FPS, which is either single player or co-op, and it has you basically trying to fight your way out of a city, I believe, out of a rather bad situation, something that's gone wrong, and you basically have to make your way out of the city. And it looks like a good sort of cover-based shooter. So, quite interested to see how that goes. If they get that right, that could be great fun. The next one is also a shooter. It's Dimension Hunter. I'm kind of interested in that because it looks very different. It's like a living comic book in VR, 2D, 3D, on rails, or locomotion. I'm not quite sure what they're doing there yet, but it does look fantastic. So that one could be a really interesting one. The other thing coming up from Supermassive Games is The Inpatient. Now, this is a prequel to Until Dawn, which, if you haven't seen any videos of me playing the other Until Dawn title, which I mentioned earlier, Rush of Blood, that game provided me with basically my worst nightmare ever, which you can see me being very scared. There. You can play that back. It was very funny. Right. So, yeah. They know how to do scary, and this one's going to have you as a psychological thriller being a mental patient. Could be interesting. Next thing up is Theseus. So, unless you've been living in a cave for the last few thousand years, or you don't know your Greek mythology, then you should have possibly have heard of Theseus. He was a king, adventurer, mythological, Greek mythological legend, who was a supposed creator of democracy. There you go. But he was very, very famous as an adventurer, and this looks set to be a third-person adventure puzzle game, possibly, that's based in the kind of like the Minotaur sort of adventure of Theseus. So yeah, that could be interesting. I'm kind of waiting to see a bit more on that one as well. The next one up is Doom VFR. Now, this isn't the same as the game that was released last year. It is specifically made for VR, and it's sort of like a escape from lab type thing, but it's Doom. And Doom is one of the classic FPS games, so you kind of have to pay attention to it, see where it's going. I don't know if it'll support the aim or not. From the gameplay I've seen, it doesn't look like it would. But definitely worth a look. The next one is Archangel, which is due out in July, which has you as a massive mech war machine going through cities and whatever placement against some sort of alien invasion force, I believe. The next one is Ancient Amaleta, which I've played the demo for, as you can see there. And you can see stuff back there. It's a first-person tower defense multiplayer game. It seemed quite good when I was playing the demo, so I'm kind of looking forward to that one. We'll see how it goes as it gets nearer the date, but I think I may get that one, so it's definitely one that's on the radar. The next one, Raw Data, is first-person shooter, which is like a two-player co-op, which is set to be cross-platform. It's got a lot of good feedback on Steam, but I'm on the fence about it at the moment, because there is a lot of shooting content already, and I'm sort of like another sort of gallery situation shooter. Do I really want to? I'm on the fence. Moving on, the next one is a sci-fi platform adventure called Starchild, which is from the makers of Lucky's Tale, which was on the Oculus Rift. There is also a sequel version of that that's coming out for the Xbox, from the same makers, which will be the continuing of Lucky Tale's but this is called Star Child, and I'm not sure with this one. Platformer with a very nice looking style, but I think I need to wait and see a little bit more about that one. The next one I thought was going to only be Japan only, but from the releases so far on the trailers, it looks like there's some translation going on. So it's an RTS anime-inspired offering. So you actually have a table and you have to build your armies of evil minions and, you know, do your typical RTS thing in a very amusing anime style. So I like anime. I quite like RTS. So it's definitely on the radar. We'll see where that one goes because it could be quite good. The next one's a little bit different as well. Transference, which is Ubisoft. Ubisoft teaming up with Elijah Wood. So we've got a big Hollywood name in there. It's a psychological remembrance sci-fi thing. So it kind of looks interesting, but I'm not sure where it's going to go there. So I'm going to keep my eyes on that one. Not committed to it yet. But yeah, definitely kind of interesting. And next up, we've got the things that are kind of not really on... Well, actually, the next one I'm going to say about is not on my buy list at all. Really, I'm not interested in it. But it's got to be mentioned because it's a big title in other ways. And it's Final Fantasy Monsters of the Deep. Now, it's coming in September. It's in the Final Fantasy 15 universe. And one of my buddies, Everything Shiny, broadcast a load of his Final Fantasy 15 exploits. And every single time I went onto the channel, he seemed to be fishing. I always caught him when he was fishing in that game. So maybe it's time for Everything Shiny to get his fishing tackle ready again and play some Final Fantasy Monsters of the Deep. But it's not one that I'm going to be playing. The next one is keep an eye on. I'm keeping an eye on. It's Preta Vendetta Rising, which is a multiplayer action RPG. There's not a huge amount of information on there. It seems to be that it's going to be cross-platform, possibly. One to keep an eye on. It could be something quite good, especially for RPG and things like that. So keep an eye on, but I'm not biting as of yet. The next one, I need to think something there. Yes, we do. The next one, there's very little information about this. There's been a couple of videos floated around the internet, and it's called Readout First Contact, from, I think, a Spanish company it's supposed to be, called Jewel Mirror Games. And it looks to be some sort of space fighter. Should be cool. I like cockpit games, you know, space fighting games. But I don't know where it's going. So it's a keep an eye out. It looks very early from what I've seen on the videos. Maybe they're just trying to float something out there. I don't know. But I'll keep an eye out. Just because it's a space fighter type thing. See if we can get anything from it. But that's basically the roundup from me. If you have any other games that you want to see mentioned or get an opinion on, if you liked this segment and would like to see some more of this, then I'll try to do some. But for now, if you want to see some of my previous videos, you can see one there. And if you want to subscribe, you can press the button down there. Or you can see the other video that's there.